When parting the next day, the driver not only left a business card, he said that if there is something on the road, he can ask him for help. When he drove onto the road, we see the finger windmill that Ning Ning gave him. It was turning in the wind on his rear-view mirror. He smiled at a tiny fan, raised, melt a sharp ice. Then the grandfather and grandson got lost in the mountains. I met a beekeeper who lived alone. The old man enthusiastically kept them to stay with two old men they had never known. Just a plate of peanuts and a few glasses of wine. They talked about their own lives. And raising a madman is also a miserable person. When there was a famine, his parents starved to death in order to keep him. Now that his children are in the city, he guards his parents' graves alone. Both old men have experienced that stormy era. What happened to each other made them hit it off at first sight. When it was hot for a long time, my grandfather said the question.
The Torch Morning Pavilion has a tongue pavilion. And the Torch Pavilion has a previous pavilion. A museum is sad.
This dialogue will pass through the historical allusion of Zhao Guan, completely pulled out of the book. It has become a portrayal of the life of each of our ordinary people. They talk about death. There is no fear or sadness. On the contrary, there is a kind of relief and open-mindedness after clearing the game. This encounter, there is more loneliness of raising a madman. It also made Grandpa face his last hurdle, found a confidant with whom I could relate to. After 5 days, the grandfather and grandson finally arrived at Sanmenxia. But as soon as he entered the city, he was stopped by the police. It turned out that Ning Ning's father found out that after they disappeared. He called the police. I have arrived here in advance. At the police station, the son scolded his father. The words were full of reproaches, but they could be heard. There is a worry that cannot be hidden underneath, and it is also here. Grandpa learned the bad news. The mute cousin who taught him to drive the other day passed away. The plot is very cleverly designed. The purpose of Grandpa's trip is to chase a death, go meet an old friend who might leave at any time. But he was on his way to this farewell. Another farewell that he didn't know was quietly completed in his hometown. This strong dramatic conflict profoundly reveals the gratuitousness and destiny of life, unforeseen, taking advantage of the gap between his son to deal with violations. Grandpa staggered alone, all the way to inquire and found the scene of meeting in the hospital. The director handled it extremely restrained and extremely advanced. There was no crying or sensationalism. Grandpa Bai even recognized the wrong person at first. When he finally saw his old friend Han Yutang on the other side of the hospital bed, the two reunited after more than 30 years. All the thousands of words. In the end, it only turned into two of the most simple greetings.
Have you eaten? Have you eaten?
This is China's most daily greeting. There are thousands of emotions in this moment. He is asking you how you are doing. Is it bitter on the road? How are you? All the care is in these simple 5 words. More than 400 kilometers of windmills and sleeping in the open air for 5 days. In exchange, it was less than 5 minutes to meet. Grandpa left a bottle of honey, given by the beekeeper, and got up to take his leave. The old friend wanted to get up and send it but couldn't move, so he had to ask the patient to help convey the message. That final farewell was... Okay, I understand this sentence. It is both telling him to go back. Be careful. It is also to bless each other on the last journey of life. Walk slowly as well. Go well. They all know it. This side is the eternity of this life. On the way home, the son who had been complaining was driving, listening to my father's apology for decades late. My eyes were red. My father felt that he shouldn't always beat him when he was a child. And our real father. Maybe I will never apologize to my children for the rest of my life, but we must all be able to sense our father's deepest love for ourselves. The barrier between father and son has also passed. Summer vacation is over. Nini wants to go back to the city to school. The city baby who disliked the countryside at the beginning, but now he doesn't want to leave his grandfather. This trip made her grow up. When leaving, she kept shouting back, "Goodbye, Grandpa." But Grandpa just waved his hand and didn't respond, because he didn't know if he would have a chance to say goodbye to his grandson again. Next is a detail full of symbolism. Grandpa took out the bubble gum left by Ning Ning and put it in his mouth. As a result, an old tooth was stained. She smiled and threw it into the dirt. Do you remember the beginning? The congealed deciduous teeth were treasured by her on the roof. pinning her hopes on growth, and his own old teeth fell out, and he discarded them casually, calmly accepting the withering of life. This is hidden and thrown. The inheritance and alternation of life metabolism must be vividly replaced, full of the charm of Oriental philosophy. The movie ends with heavy snow covering the entire village in winter. The phone rang and it was an old friend from Han Yutang's son, who was gone. Grandpa hung up the phone silently, picked up a pen and drew a circle on Han Yutang's avatar on the photo. Only himself was left in the photo. He was dressed in a cotton coat. Light a cigarette and sit alone at the snowy door. In the silence of the snowy day, he sang the desolate song again. There is no sadness in the singing, only one that has walked all the way that should be taken. The calmness and perfection after meeting all the people who should be seen. Guo Zhaoguan's movie, what is he talking about? He is actually telling the wisdom of life in the bones of Chinese people, in the most simple way. He told us that life is a pass. Each of us has to pass the hurdle of our studies and careers. Emotional barrier. Finally, there is the level of life and death. As my grandfather said, I have to get through it when I'm sad. And the most touching thing about this movie is that he shows a passing attitude. Not to conquer. It is to accept, reconcile, and tolerate. He also told us, kindness is a power that can be transmitted. Grandpa's kindness infected desperate young people. The truck driver who warmed the suspicion also taught his grandson Ninning what love is. A bottle of honey, a finger slit, a piece of bubble gum. These tiny kindnesses, circulating between people stirs up the warmest ripples. Finally, let us understand. The so-called passing is not the 400-kilometer road. It is every hurdle in our hearts. It was the guilt that the mute grandfather carried with a silence. It is the desperate view of young people in the face of failure. It is the truck driver's view of trust in the world. It is also my grandfather's own view of regret, in order to make up for his lifelong concern. Director Homeng uses an almost wide depiction technique, photographed the true face of life. He pushed the truth. Even a little clumsy, but it is this unadorned sincerity. Only then does it have the power to penetrate people's hearts. A person is like a drowning donkey, and I am also a pedestrian. May everyone who has seen this movie, we can all learn from Grandpa's calm goodwill and reconciliation with the world. Calmly rush on the road of your own life and pass the test steadily.